Hello, everyone. My name is Shane Bassett, your host, the movie analyst, and I'm here today with a director, actor, producer, writer, Nathan Faudree, over in New York. Hello from Sydney.
Hi, how are you?
Mate, I'm doing really well. A lot of talk at the moment about aliens, Hangar 18. It's very timely, your movie at the moment.
Yeah, I didn't, it took a long time to make it, and each thing has sort of lined up that it's like, oh, this has arrived exactly when it's supposed to. So
we're talking about a movie called Site 13. Is it a labor of love, or was it a 10-day shoot, or did it take like 5 years to make? Tell me the background of the making of it.
it's a little bit of all of that. It started actually in 2003. So we've been working on it off and on for close to 20 years now.
20 years?
Well, not the entire time, because that would be not so much a labor of love as more of a labor of insanity at that point. But yeah, it started its life as I came on the project as an actor. Back in 2003, we did a found footage movie called Site 13 with Tony Urban, who I'd worked with before on a couple different projects. And but after we filmed it, Tony retired and went on to become a novelist and a photographer, and has this other celebrated career. And for 10 years, myself and some of the other actors would talk every now and then, and would be like, oh man, Site 13, there was some good stuff in there. I wish that could have come out, or we could have seen something happen with it. Yeah. And after 10 years, I finally came up with an idea, and it was to film a present day portion and then use all of that old found footage as flashback type stuff. So there was a 10-year gap in there, as actors as well. So, and then because it's a small indie production, it took a long time for post-production. There's this thing they have in indie film where it's you can have it either good, fast, or cheap, and you get to pick two of them. And so I was like, we're gonna go good and cheap then. So it wasn't fast.
Yeah, well, I noticed in the credits, I think it was 2021. So that's when it was finished. And then what took so long to get it? Were you showing it at festivals before now? We finished in 2021, and then then had to do the festival circuit because we didn't really know anybody. So it's like you got to get it out there. And it was out there for a little over a year and a half kind of thing. Okay.
And because it was coming out right after COVID, it was doing almost all of the film festivals it did were all online. I only actually got to see the film in the theater at the screening at the last film festival we were at, which was here in New York. So,
well, congratulations. Any director or filmmaker to get something on the big screen anywhere is a feat. So well done, and thank you for doing found footage, well, partially found footage. It's one of my favorite genres, and I think it's endless what you can do.
Absolutely. And especially like with horror, it really, there's just something about it that puts you in the scenario, and because not everything is as clear as we would like to be able to see stuff. So, and that makes it even scarier. And it works out in that it was like an easier thing for us to shoot as well. That ended up being like 3 days of shooting.
Yeah.
But that was also, like I said, 20 years ago. So
that's great. It's great you could use that original footage. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we ended up using almost every type of kind of digital footage that is available. Like that original one was shot on the XL1, which was like the first super cool, everybody wanted this digital camera. And then by the time we got to shooting the contemporary stuff, we were shooting in 1080p and 4K. And when you set all these footages next to each other, it's amazing to really see the difference in the quality.
Yeah.
The opening credits, I noticed, were 9.5 minutes. I think that's a record.
No, John Carpenter beat it in Prince of Darkness, which
did
is
he? Right.
that is the 100% inspiration for that. I was like, you know what? If John Carpenter can do like 11 minutes, I can do 9.5.
I was totally unaware of that. I didn't. I've seen Prince of Darkness, but not for a long time. So I thought you might have had the record.
No. I that was my safety gap of like, okay, we haven't gone too far yet.
Yeah.
But that was like hugely one of the inspirations of it. So, you know.
Oh well, I'll go back now and watch Prince of Darkness. It's been a while. You've just inspired me. Thanks.
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
What inspired you with the circles? Have you got something against shapes, or how did you come up with that?
Well, I mean, that was originally the Tony's idea. That was there's a lot of like urban legends of these devil circles. I mean, that's like, you know, we're like, we all have those little ghost stories from our nearby town of like, oh, there's this circle out in the woods and people disappear near it, or gravity is weird, or, you know, you see lights and stuff like that. So we just wanted to sort of tap into that idea. And a circle happened to be the easiest shape to make on the ground. So
that would have been.
Yeah.
No, well done. There's near the beginning of the movie, after those long credits, there's that you see a nun having shots at a bar. So there's a lot of religious things in this, and I like, you know, you're in for something very interesting. Was there anything on set? Was there any divine intervention? Any sort of paranormal, or anything move when it shouldn't have, or fall off the wall while you were making the film?
Not to my knowledge, but I may not have been the most reliable witness because I was so exhausted through the entire thing, pulling all the double duties and everything like that. But I mean, I think it was just the movie getting made. All of it was coincidence after coincidence of, you know, I wanted to make the movie. I called Tony. He still had the footage on a hard drive in his attic. Wow. I wanted this one actress to play the lead character there, Catherine. And she said, I have this 1 week available. And I said, okay, I guess that's when we're filming. And everybody else was like, cool, let's do it. And that gave us like, at first, this movie was cooking along. It was going really fast.
Okay.
You know, so it's things like that. When I finished the movie, I didn't know who was going to edit it. I had just moved to New York, and I had lunch with Alan Rokelly, who has done a lot of indie horror stuff from back in the DVD eras. And he had just come off finishing his projects, Tales of Poe. And he said, look, I don't have anything going on right now. If I don't have anything, I'm going to go into a crushing depression. Let me help you edit your movie.
Oh, nice.
So it was a lot of stuff like that it felt like these like it's being helped along a little bit somehow.
Yeah, no, I'm really glad it was obviously a collective effort from everyone, as most movies are when they're indie.
Yeah.
I'll jump to it because you brought it up, your cast. Obviously, Layla Quinn, am I saying it right?
Yeah, Layla, yeah.
Start with Sister Margaret, pretty integral character. How did you cast her?
I like the interesting thing about doing indie movies is that a lot of it is I cast people who I wanted to work with and who I knew. And, you know, at this level, I needed people in there who I wanted to work with. And I knew it was going to be really hard, and I wanted to do it with cool people. And the funny thing about Layla is that she's like a total rock and roll chick. Like, she is frontlines to a couple different bands. She's an incredible performer. Like, to look at her, you would think, oh, she's got tattoos and all of this other stuff. I'm like, you would go, this is not a nun. But I just thought it would be so much more interesting to have her play a nun character, because she would bring that rock and roll to the nun. And because I grew up, my family's all Catholic, and so so knowing some of these type of people, you know, that they are people, and you know, just because that they've set up this religious life doesn't mean that they're not going to do a shot when it comes down to it, you know?
Okay. No, I know. I thought it was a nice little move to introduce her, basically, get to know her a little bit.
And
also,
the funny thing,
yep.
well, I was just going to say, the funny thing is Catherine, Katie, I had literally, she and I were doing a production of Macbeth right before the shoot, and she was my Lady Macbeth. And so while we were in production, I was like, hey, Katie, I wrote this movie, and she was like, let's do it. This is the week I've got. So that's when we filmed.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, Katie was equally as outstanding. I'm really glad that you cast her. I've not seen her before, but knowing that Shakespeare is linked to your film, that's a bonus. I love Shakespeare.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Shakespeare anyway. So like to be able to bring that kind of element, you know, just a little bit of class to any sort of demonic alien stuff, you know.
Marguerite Mitchell was someone else I wanted to point out too. I just a small role, but her role as Jen was great as well. I liked her a lot.
Yeah, she's great. I worked with her and in several different like productions. I worked with her. We both worked at a nonprofit theater upstate New York. And so I've known Peggy for years, and like as soon as I decided I was going to do a movie, I wrote that part specifically for her, because I was like, I know I don't want to keep you busy. It's going to be one day. Just come in, kick ass, and go about your business.
Well, thank you, because I hope she goes a long way in her career.
Oh, I hope so too. Yeah.
And if anyone was doubting who the main character was, I think the opening screams were, "Where the F is Nathan? Where the F is Nathan?" So they know you're the lead
right away. Yeah.
Well,
Kelly Ray has quite the potty mouth in this. So
Nathan hands a phone over towards the end as well. We can do spoilers in this, and sure. I was thinking Nathan should have just said "phone home." Phone home. There's a link.
Oh my gosh! I can't believe I missed that.
Oh dear, I had to say it. Just getting onto something serious for a moment. With the current writers' strikes and actors' strikes, SAG and the Writers Guild, what are your opinions on that? Having, you know, you're part of all that. You've done it all.
Absolutely. I mean, like one of the first things that I did as soon as the SAG strike happened was I had to call SAG immediately and go, I am in SAG, but I was not when we filmed this, and it's a little independent. But I wanted to be able to you know, promote this and to like do interviews and all of that. And luckily they were like, yes, you're fine. So
isn't that great?
Yeah. And I honestly think that I mean, I'm 100% behind this, because I've done a lot of writing as well, and like I really want to be in the Writers Guild. I'm not in it yet, but that is a goal. And you know, obviously I support 100% all of them, and I really am behind this idea, especially that SAG has been doing the waivers for independent films.
Exactly.
Because I think it might really help the independent film scene, and like I'm really hoping that it ushers in another independent film scene like in the 90s or in the 70s.
A renaissance.
Exactly. I mean, if we can bring that back and maybe get some like medium budget movies back into the theaters instead of just blockbusters, you know, I think people are just tired of that now. You can see that in some of the box office of the past year here. And just exemplified by like a lot of these little indie horror movies that are coming out and just kicking ass, and everybody loves them because it's just something different and something a little bit more on the edge and not quite so glossy and watered down.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's really good that there are exceptions being made for indie and then actors maybe at Comic Cons and doing appearances like that, because yeah, I think it works to your benefit. You're still supporting the strike, but you know, indie films need that boost. And I'm stoked you brought up the 90s. I have so many physical copies of those little underground movies that came out in the 90s and no one's ever heard of, you know, there's so many.
Absolutely. I mean, it was that was like the real renaissance. I mean, that was when I was coming up and going like, I want to do this.
Yeah.
Oh, it's possible. Like, you know, Kevin Smith made a movie. I can make a movie. You know, what's his name? Slacker.
Richard Linklater.
Yes, Linkletter. You know, all of those. I'm like, this is it. It made it possible for like the digital revolution. Now it's time for that to pay off.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted, before we finish, I'll just quickly mention or ask about A Wounded Fawn, because I thought that was pretty amazing. And you were talking about writing. You wrote that.
Yeah.
Now with you, this Site 13. Tell me about maybe a sequel or a prequel. Are we going to see maybe Site 19, Site 21, or maybe a prequel? You know, Site.
I mean, there's plenty of numbers still. So like, yeah, right. Site 14, 15, 16. I'm like, of course, throughout the entire project, we have, you know, bandied around ideas from like literally, you know, from very serious to like absolute insanity of like warrior nuns and stuff like that possessed by aliens. And like, there's been all sorts of levels of, so, I mean, I don't want to have to do it, you know, another 17 years to make one. So if someone wants, if then this ends up being, if anyone asks me to do one, hell yeah, I'll do one. Okay. But yeah, like A Wounded Fawn was another, that was one that I wrote right around the same time, a little after.
Really?
And yeah, that actually, yeah, I think I actually finished that after Site 13. And I just happened to know one of the producers. We got together. We're old friends from acting together.
Right.
And he was coming up and said, I need a movie that takes place single location with just a few people. And I said, hey, guess what? Here you go. And the rest is history. No, then I ended up, you know, we ended up getting involved with Travis, and Travis brought his ideas to it and just made me look so much smarter. So, you know.
No, don't say that. You know, a lot of movies you can discover on Shudder. I think that is a great outlet, and A Wounded Fawn was one of them for me. I reviewed it across the board and gave it great marks. I mean, Sarah Lind was another find from there. There's another actress who fits in.
Yeah. And just that complete naturalness to her performance is incredible. Yeah, I got to go to Tribeca for that. Like, I got to go do the red carpet and stuff. So that was like, and meet everybody on the red carpet. That was an amazing experience. But yeah, they're like some incredibly talented people, and I'm very lucky to be involved with it. So.
Well, Nathan, you're mixing with the right crowd, and you're doing well with this latest movie of yours. I hope everyone sees it. Before we go, have you got a director's chair with your name on it?
No, I don't. I don't.
Okay.
But I live in a 1-bedroom apartment in New York, so like I don't know how much room I've got for but soon. All right. We didn't have a budget for it on this one.
No, I get that. Maybe down the track. A couple other quick questions, fun questions. Can you surf?
I cannot. I have never surfed in my life. I mean, I've done body surfing and everything like that, and I've spent my whole life in the water.
Yeah.
I grew up sailing and swimming and all of that. I wanted to be a marine biologist for a long time, but I've never surfed. I got it.
The Pacific Ocean is about 500 meters behind me. So yeah, not far from the ocean here. I love the beach. That's why I asked.
We're pretty close to the Atlantic, but not good surfing weather here. So.
What about musicals? Is that something that you've ever think you could do, or do they interest you? Maybe a horror musical?
Oh man, that would be cool, right? I actually my boyfriend works on Broadway. He does he's doing wigs and hair for Broadway shows. He just finished doing Camelot, and he was doing Beetlejuice, which was just like the mothership calling him home, you know, because he's very goth and into horror movies, obviously, as well. And so, a horror musical. Oh, that would be so cool. I'd be 100%, you know, Like we went and saw Phantom, of course, right before it closed because
Yeah,
got to go see it again. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't want to perform in it. I mean, I would
No?
want to, but I'm not. I'm an okay singer, but I'm not like.
You could direct it, right? You could do.
I could definitely direct it. Hell yeah, I'll write it and direct it and have someone do the music. You know.
And in your own words, describe your movie Site 13. Why should people watch it? And click on that thumbnail and go, I'll give this one a go.
Sure. I think that first and foremost, I think it's got a little bit more of a heart to it. Obviously it's a horror movie. It builds on dread and tension and less on gore and violence. It's more of like much more of a psychological experience, I think. Not that I'm against those. In fact, I really want to do one of those hack 'em up slasher kind of things too sometime in the future. This was not that movie. And I have to say that a lot of the people who have really enjoyed the movie have been women. That's like all of the women in my life, and not just have really liked it, and most of them have not been horror movie fans. So
that's really good to hear. You've crossed over, and having people like Layla and Katie in your film, I'm not surprised. Marguerite.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, and the thing is like we went through a lot of film festivals, and most of the awards we got were at non-horror film festivals, like at Montreal Independent Film and London New Wave and the Italian 8.5 Film Festival. All of these, none of them are horror film festivals. And I was like, this is weird, but okay. I mean, so I think it, works for people who don't necessarily like horror movies, but hopefully also for the people who do like horror movies, because it's made by a person who loves horror movies.
Well, you're covered in blood. I'm guessing it was some kind of red paint, and that signifies a horror movie to me when a scene like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. That day I went home and had to, I showered there. I took the bus home and just kept finding blood in my ears, and I was really hoping that no one on the bus would think that I was coming from a murder scene. So
well, see, the realities of an independent director catching a bus to and from set.
Yep. Oh yeah, absolutely. Where I would take a bus out to Paterson, New Jersey to do editing every week, and then take a bus back. I'm like, we can't afford a limo or anything like that. So I'm like the glamour of Hollywood.
Yeah, that's dedication. Well, thanks, Nathan, for your time. And I really do hope your movie goes well. Any exclusives? What's next, or what's coming up for you, maybe? Or is it
I've got another script that I wrote that is going into production this fall. I'm not directing it, but called Penitent. We got a waiver from SAG, so it's another smaller psychological horror film. A little bit more. I don't know. No, it's still pretty psychological. So, but I'm excited. So, that should be filming this fall. So keep an eye out next year for Penitent.
Well, I'm hoping for a Watcher sequel or a follow-on, because Micah Monroe is just incredible. She's another young star in the making, and you were part of that too.
Yeah. Thank you.